بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to start Unit 6 of the book Islamic Belief System, and this is about the hereafter, resurrection. And inshallah we are going to discuss few issues, including the significance of belief in the resurrection, arguments for resurrection, what is the reality of death, what approach we should have towards death, what's the world between death and the hereafter, we mean barzakh, and some of the characteristics of the hereafter. So there are a few points that inshallah in this unit we are going to discuss. We have this session and inshallah one session next week, and then this semester finishes. The belief in resurrection has great impact on our individual and social life. On the level of individuals, depending on what your aims are, what your ends are, what perspective of life you have, you would have different plans for your life. If we think that everything is summarized in dunya, pleasure and pain are only pleasure and pain in dunya, temporary, and they are just a matter of enjoying yourself in this world, then you would choose one type of life which would be totally different from the way of life that you choose if you know this world is not the only thing which exists, and pleasure and pain are not only temporal. You would try to use this world as an opportunity to save for your akhirah. If they tell you that you have only, for example, 2 hours to use your money, and then after 2 hours it will expire. So you buy everything, even things that you don't need, and you buy things that you can quickly use. You would not save on anything. You will not pay any tuition fees for university or whatever. But if you know that you can use this money for many, many years to come, then you would be more careful not to waste it on everything which is just quick and instant. So, this is why the Quran very much wants us to remember that this world is not the only life that we have. And actually, not only it's not the only life, this is the lowest life. Al-Hayat ad-Dunya. Dunya is the female for Adna. It's the female form for Adna. And Adna either comes from Dunov, means nearness, or from Dena'a, which means to be meanness. So Adna means nearer or something which is lower. So Al-Hayat, Ad-Dunya means the nearer Hayat or the lower Hayat. Okay? In any case, this is not the only life that we have. This is not the best life that we have. This is the shortest and the lowest life that we have. Plus, this is the life that is only an opportunity that we have for gaining for the other life. So Quran, in about 1/3 of verses, 1/3 of the entire Quran has been said that relate somehow to resurrection. It's amazing. So much emphasis has been put on resurrection. So much emphasis has been put on remembering death. You know, some people don't like to remember death. But this is not going to save you from death. If it was going to save you, okay, can you say, okay, I don't remember, then I don't die. But if you are in a competition and you forget the deadline, what happens? You would lose. If you are in an exam and you have 1 hour time and you forget or you deny, then the time finishes and you have not still finished your exam. There is a Farsi poem which is very beautiful. It says, عاشق شو ورنه روزی کار جهان سرآید ناخوانده درس مقصود از کارگاه هستی. Try to become soon a lover of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, the time will expire and you have not got the lesson that you have to take from this workshop of life. Life is a workshop, but it has a limited time. So either you get the lesson from this workshop or it finishes and still you don't know what was the lesson. So remembrance of death is not a bad thing. Even remembrance of death is not something that would kill the pleasure of your life, because some people say, no, don't tell me about death, you ruin my day, But actually, remembrance of death makes you enjoy your life more. Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. Otherwise, you take your life for granted. Remembrance of illness makes you enjoy your health more. Remembering people around you that they may one day disappear from your life make you enjoy them now and appreciate them now more. Unfortunately, people, as long as they are there, we don't appreciate them. When we lose them, we appreciate them. So if you remember your death and their death, then you would appreciate them more. In the past, people used to make their cities in the way that it was very easy to visit graveyards. Graveyards were in every locality available. Or in many places, for example, they had a mosque and bazaar and graveyard all together. If when you go to bazaar to open your shop and you go through cemetery and come back through cemetery, then in bazaar you are careful. But if you go just through motorway to bazaar, then you want to reach very fast. And then you may cheat. Remembering of death is very important. So much reward is mentioned for visiting people who are buried. And I believe, humbly, that this is more for yourself than what that person benefits. You get more, and because you get something, then they will also get a share. So it's very important to remember our death. So this is in personal life. In social life also is very important. If we remember our death, we never do zulm. We never do injustice to people. We never do wrong to people. Especially the people that have no helper other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِيَّاكَ وَظُلْمَ مَنْ لَا يَجِدُ عَلَيْكَ نَاصَرًا إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Be very careful not to do zulm to someone who has no helper other than Allah. Then that's the time that Allah takes the side of that oppressed. We have to be very careful. Or the people who are under our care, we have to be very careful. So, if you believe in Akhirah and you know that everything is registered and everything is seen, من يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره, then you would not do zulm to people. Even Amir al-Mu'mineen says, لو أعطيت الأقاليم السبعة وما تحت أفلاك ألا أن أعصي الله في نملة أسلبها جلب شعيرة ما فعلت. If they give me 7 continents plus whatever is between them and a sky, and they told me, instead you do one thing for us. Take the peel of a barley from the mouth of an ant. Not to kill anyone, not to ruin reputation of anyone, not to injure anyone, not to do ghayba, tuhma. No, just take the peel of barley from the mouth of an ant. Ma fa'altu. I don't do that. Ali is not doing zulm even to an ant. Because zulm is very much disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Zulm is destructive. Zulm first damages you. Maybe damages the other person, maybe doesn't damage the other person. But definitely damages zalim. The first person who is getting harmed is the oppressor. So if you believe in Akhirah, you will be very careful. If you don't believe or forget Akhirah, then if there is no police, no camera, or if you are powerful and you can, get away, you become careless about the zulm. You do zulm and you think you are clever. You cheat, you think you are intelligent. You are skillful. So, this is the significance of belief in Akhirah that keeps you always conscious, not to do anything wrong, not to do any zulm especially, plus do ihsan, do charity, give out to people, help people. You are not going to lose. Anything you give will be saved for you. You know the story that Rasulullah was distributing a qurbani, a sacrifice, and giving meat, to different portions, to people. One of the wives of the Prophet who was there said, "You didn't leave anything for us." Rasul said, "Whatever we give remains for us, not what we eat. What you give remains for us." So, if you believe in Akhirah, you can say this. If you don't believe in Akhirah, you think you are losing. So, it's very important to be consciously thinking and believing resurrection. In the book, we have 2 arguments to prove resurrection. Of course, this in addition to the Quran, to the Hadith. As I said, about 1/3 of the Quran, more than 2,000 verses of the Quran relate to resurrection. But plus, we want to bring some theological arguments. So we have two arguments. One is based on hikmah, argument from wisdom of God. The other one is justice. If you remember in Unit 2, when we were talking about theology, we made a distinction between hikmah and justice. Justice is adl, hikmah is wisdom. We said hikmah means to do things with purpose, do things properly. But justice is to observe the rights. So, if you remember, I said, if a person comes to this room and starts giving money, some people he gives £1, some people gives £5, some people give £10, some people £1,000, some people nothing. You cannot say you are not adil, you are not just. If he is spending from his own pocket, you cannot question his justice. You cannot say because you have given different portions or amounts of money, you are not just. If he is giving from his own pocket, we have no right over him. So he can give us or give nothing or give more or less. But you can ask him for reason for making these differences. And if he has no reason, we say, you might be adil, but you are not hakim. Because a wise person never does anything arbitrarily. A wise person has reason for doing or saying anything. A wise person never treats equals unequally and never treats unequals equally. And I told you this beautiful example one of my teachers gave, rahmatullah alayh, that a wise person never put mafati on Quran. Means you put everything according to the reason which is acceptable, which is something that you can defend. So you have to be careful. So now we want to mention the argument first from hikmah. We say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we proved in Unit 2, is Hakim. He does everything with purpose. He doesn't do anything in vain. Okay? Now, if we don't believe in the hereafter, we cannot make sense of his wisdom. Either he is observing a good reason for creating this world and human beings as he has created, or na'udhu billah, he is not wise. Actually, Quran itself teaches us this argument. أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا? Do you think we have created you in vain and you don't return to us? This is in the book, verse 115 of chapter 23. أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ? Do you think you have been created in vain and you are not going to send back to us? Means to deny return, to deny resurrection means to deny wisdom. You have been created in vain. Why? Now we want to explain this. In the book you would see there are different formula, different way of articulating this argument. But one way that we can say is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this world in the way that there are lots of potentials that cannot be fulfilled in dunya. There are lots of potential that cannot be fulfilled in dunya. For example, human beings have been given desire for eternal life. Human beings want to have eternal life. Can we have eternal life in dunya? No. So why this desire is given to us? Or we have desire for absolute knowledge, absolute beauty, absolute pleasure. None of these absolute things can happen in dunya. Dunya is the world of limits, the world of interactions. What another person does would limit you, would affect you. So, if we were created only for few days and we were not going to continue, we should not have been created as we are created now. There will be lots of wastage. Why Allah wasted so much by giving us things that would not be satisfied in dunya, would not be making sense in dunya. Actually, we are more from that world than this world. Therefore, as some mystics and some poets have said, human beings in dunya are like a stranger. Because we are more spiritual than being worldly. We are here like a bird in cage. We are going to be freed after we die. If you were only supposed to be in the cage, imagine, you have a bird which is always supposed to be in a small cage. Why then you give him wings? If someone is going to live all his life in this small cage, doesn't need wings. Even doesn't use his feet that much, let alone having wings. Like sometimes I say, of course there's a big difference, but just in a sense of humor, I say, I don't know why they make cars that can go 200 kilometers, 240 kilometers, and there is nowhere in this country that you can drive, more than 70 miles. Isn't it wastage of, materials and resources? So, maybe you say, I want to go to Germany and drive, I don't know, but there is no other world for us to... Dunya is all like this, and Allah has given us so much more that in this world cannot be satisfied. The next argument is argument from justice. The focus here is different. The focus here is on everyone receiving their due reward or punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is adil. He never does any zulm. Because who does zulm? إنما يحتاج إلى الظلم الضعيف. There's a beautiful hadith that says the only one who needs zulm is the weak. Those who are weak do zulm. Those who are strong and confident and feel dignified, they don't do zulm. Anyone who is doing zulm inside feels weak and insecure. Okay? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has all the knowledge, all the power, all the resources. Why he should do zulm? He never does any zulm. But we see this world is not a place that justice can be fully executed. Why? Because there are people that up to last moment of their life, they do zulm. Where are they going to see the justice? It's not that everyone is put in prison or is receiving justice during their life. Some people have power and somehow manage to remain in charge till end of their life. Or even if they receive justice in dunya, they cannot give them full justice. If you have someone like Hitler or Saddam, how can you bring them to full justice? How many, even you cannot say thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have been killed or misplaced, lost their family members by these people. So how are you going to bring them to justice? Or there are people who have done lots of good things. They have sacrificed even their life in this dunya. What reward you want to give them? What reward you want to give to a martyr? What reward you want to give to someone who devoted his life to God and to servants of God? So there must be another world in which everything is taken into account. Everything people do would see it. There would be full justice unless they are forgiven. Of course, if someone does tawbah, might be forgiven. If someone reforms, does islah, maybe it would be forgiven. But if the sins are not forgiven, especially if they are rights of other people, then justice will be executed. But when it comes to reward, full reward will be given, plus Allah would multiply. So, because of justice and because of wisdom, there must be another life in which this thing can be fully observed. Now we move on to the next question. What is the relation between this life, this world, and the hereafter? We, inshallah, have a discussion next week about different types of relations that have been suggested. The relation between cause and effect, the relation of embodiment of the actions, or just a kind of agreement-based relation. We will talk about them. What I want to say at the end, because we don't have time to enter to that discussion, is that as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ad-dunya mazra'atul akhirah." This world is the farm for the hereafter. You have only one chance for planting. Then you harvest it. If you don't farm now, if you don't plant now, and then you say, no, after I die, I will plant, it's not going to work. Everything has to be done here. Therefore, this dunya has great value, because this is the only chance we have for doing good. On the day of judgment, you cannot say, I want to do charity. I didn't do enough. I want to pray more. I want to fast more. I want to visit my parents more. These are the things that you have to do it in dunya. As long as you are here, even when it comes to sadaqiyya jariyah, you should start it when you are alive. You cannot start it after you die. You start it when you are alive, but you start a project, something that can keep bearing fruits. But the beginning has to be done in dunya. So, this is why those who are clever, they are very careful about their life. Because this life is a gold. Gold is too little. Every minute, even every second, but say let's minute. Every minute is great. In every minute you can do some zikr at least. You can make a phone call to someone, do Salih Rahim. You can make someone happy. You can read some ayah. You can read some books. So we should always be very careful about our life, because these little, opportunities that we have are going to define our eternal life. You do something for a few minutes, but it would have eternal impact on you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to benefit our life in the best possible way, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen.